So let's dive into the food and fiber industry, what it is exactly. And the way your book would describe the food and fiber industry is that the food and fiber industry comprises the economic activities of the farms and firms that assemble, process, and transform raw agricultural commodities into final products for distribution to U.S. and foreign customers. What does all that mean? Well, it basically just means that the food and fiber industry is all the people that are in the process of taking raw agricultural commodities and turning them into final products for distribution to U.S. and foreign consumers. Basically, the food and fiber industry is the agricultural industry. And actually, economists, they use the food and fiber industry to describe the agricultural sector. So if you stop and you think, well, what is the food and fiber industry? Why do we call it that? Well, it's just basically the agricultural sector. And it comprises of all raw agricultural commodities and how we transform them into final products. And you're going to see that the food and fiber industry includes farms and firms such as agribusinesses. So, the food and fiber industry, it includes farmers, ranchers, and then these agribusinesses. These agribusinesses might be those that are taking the raw agricultural goods and turning them into a processed good that a consumer would really want. So agribusinesses are involved in the agricultural industry as well. So why do we put so much attention on the food and fiber industry? Well, for one, we're in agriculture and we like to talk about agriculture. But it goes way further than that. And one of the biggest aspects about the food and fiber industry is that it is one of the largest systems in the United States economy. Whenever we start talking about our nation's output, agriculture accounts for 12 to 15% of the nation's output. Our one industry, just the food and fiber industry, just the agricultural industry, accounts for over a tenth of the nation's output. That's a very large number. That's an impressive amount. Another thing that catches a lot of people's eyes is 1 out of 6 jobs are tied to the agricultural industry in some way, shape, or form. 1 out of 6 jobs. That means if you get in a room of, say, 36 people, the chances are at least 6 of them are involved in the food and fiber industry in some way. But let's look at this a little bit further. 3.2 million Americans are considered farmers, are farmers. But there is 326 million U.S. citizens in the United States. And out of those 326 million, there are 149 million jobs here in the United States. So I wanted to bring these numbers in to talk about that a little bit. That there is one farmer to every 101 U.S. citizens. And there is one farmer to every 46 jobs. So how is it that I can claim that 1 in 6 jobs are tied to agriculture? Well, if we start diving into these numbers, I want you to pay attention to this number. This is just farmers and ranchers. But the food and fiber industry includes those firms that assemble, process, and transform these raw agricultural goods. It includes those agribusinesses. So while there might only be 3.2 million farmers, there's a lot more people that work in the agricultural industry. Think about it this way. You can make the argument that anybody that works at McDonald's is in the agricultural industry, or anybody that works in a restaurant, or anybody that works in a grocery store. Why? Because they sell agricultural products. They're in the process of taking sometimes raw meat, raw beef, in the case of say a restaurant, and turning that into a final product that consumers are willing to use. So they are transforming these raw agricultural commodities into final products. So whenever we talk about 1 out of 6 jobs are tied to the agricultural industry, it goes so much further than talking about just farmers. That just farmers are tied to the agricultural industry, because anybody in these agribusinesses are also in that food and fiber industry. So then another thing that I want to discuss is who exactly is in this industry. Well, we include these farm input suppliers. We'll talk a little bit more about those later on, but these farm input suppliers are commonly referred to as people like John Deere, or Monsanto or DuPont Chemical or Dow Chemical or anybody that provides inputs to a farmer or rancher. Those are the farm input suppliers. Of course, you have the farmers and ranchers that are in this food and fiber industry. You also have those that are involved in the processing and manufacturing of these goods. So let me ask you this. Stop and think. Have you ever had cereal for breakfast? Maybe Frosted Flakes? Or maybe Honey Nut Cheerios? Or something like that? Well, are you eating a raw good? No. You're taking a processed good and eating a processed good. And there was another company, that cereal company, that took that raw agricultural commodity and transformed it into a product that you could just pull out of the box and eat right then and there. Those are the people that were involved in the processing and the manufacturing of that raw agricultural good. And then also you have those that are involved in wholesale and retail, that are involved in maybe not transforming the good, but getting it into the hands of the customers. So this has been a very quick and brief overview of what the food and fiber industry really is.